what's likely to happen to the commodity market in 2023?
Firstly, Siddharth, thank you for having me. Delighted to be here. It's exciting to talk about the commodity markets. It's been very exciting, and the question on everyone's mind, as you said, is what's going to happen in 2023. I'd start by saying that 2022 has been a bit of an atypical year, right? You saw severe dislocations in demand, you saw geopolitical activity, and you saw bounce back from COVID lows and demands from 2021 and 2020. So for 2023, I think it's going to be a story. Our researchers say that the story is going to be quite different across the world. If you look at oil, which is crude oil, which is kind of one of the largest commodities and energies everyone's focused on.
Tell that to people in India.
Exactly. The global story is that we think the price is going to be somewhere around $90, but there's going to be a fair amount of volatility, and there are situations in which it could go down to as low as 70 if there's a global contracted recession, or it could go up to as high as 120, right? And the biggest...
That's quite a wide range.
It is a wide range because there's a few factors that will play into this. The biggest one out there, Siddharth, is going to be around how fast China bounces back from the lockdown they've had. All the indicators we are looking at, macroeconomic and demand indicators, seems to show that it's coming back fast, which will indicate pressure on oil. But that's the big story. We've got to watch that carefully. And go ahead.
Just a quick interjection. So around 80 now, but you just told me 70 to 120. That's over a $50 span. That's like very, very significant from an Indian fiscal standpoint. And we're just a couple of weeks away from the central government budget. So what should Indian policy makers be budgeting for the Indian fiscal year, which starts the 1st of April? You're a Kolkata boy. What should they be sort of budgeting with? What kind of crude number should they be working on with for the whole year?
Yeah, I would encourage us all to think about kind of $90 as a median case scenario, which we should all think about. But, in today's volatile world that we live in, all business leaders like us and all policymakers, everybody works with scenarios. And by the way, that's what we do with our research as well. There's one scenario, it could be as low as 70, right? But there is also a scenario, it could be as high as 120. And that is not a low probability scenario. I'd say it's a low probability scenario, but not a impossible scenario. So I would say policymakers across the world, including India, should really be thinking about a scenario where, if all goes well, it could, go the year around $90 a barrel. But there are scenarios you could end up at something like 120. If there's big, unexpected geopolitical activities, or if there is a massive splurge in demand in China. And look, the other thing that's going to weigh in on demand and supply over not just 23, Siddharth, but also 24 and 25, is how countries and policymakers think about the trilemma, as I call it, between energy security, energy transition, and energy affordability. And all three are important. And if 2022 has taught us one thing, all three are important.
Absolutely. And 2022, for the Indian context, also taught her that there is an option called Ural crude. You expect that to continue, and the government of India being able to reduce its overall sort of fiscal burden as far as crude oil is concerned?
It's not just crude oil. It's crude oil, it's derivatives, it's fertilizer. And, we expect that policymakers across the world will look to balance their both secure supplies and look at affordable sources. And we expect that India is going to be no different. But again, I'll go back to what I said. If 2022 taught us one thing, it's that just thinking about energy prices or energy affordability by itself doesn't solve anything. You've got to think about all the security is equally important, right?
Absolutely.
What good is affordability if you can't get the crude at that price? Or what good does it do for long-term policy if there isn't a transition plan that is reasonable? And by the way, India has made some incredibly good strides in there. One of the things I'm personally very bullish about is the hydrogen policy, right? And the $2.5 billion spend that's been announced. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it's small money. But, it's a country with 1.3 billion people, incredible engineering and science talent. And I can't see a situation in which significant scientific breakthroughs don't come from India, which makes affordable hydrogen, green hydrogen, a reality.